Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Sober Yoga Girl. I am so excited this episode to have a special guest with me, and I actually met Erika probably a couple of months ago, and we've never actually met in person on Zoom before, which is super cool. Erika Doyle is the founder of the Drink Dry store here in the UAE.
Hi, nice to meet you finally, Alex. Face to face, as close as we can get.
You too, yeah. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So you're based in Abu Dhabi and I'm based in Dubai.
Yes, which is about, for those of you that are not familiar with the UAE, it's about an hour and a half drive. Although, I haven't been to Dubai in like a year because of the COVID situation with the border.
I know. The situation is quite difficult at the moment. Yeah, I think we're quite lucky here compared to the rest of the world in terms of the lockdown restrictions we have, particularly in Dubai, opposed to maybe Abu Dhabi. But yeah, I think we'll get there eventually.
We will meet soon. I do really want to come down to Dubai because I want to visit the Drink Dry store.
Well, listen, thank you so much for having me on today. So for those who are seeing the bottles here in the background, it's all non-alcoholic, by the way. So this is my little storage place. This is all the samples from the different suppliers come in and we do all the tasting and sampling, and only the very best get listed on Drink Dry store.
It's amazing. And I've tried quite a few. I love them. And
thank you.
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
I'm just so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you.
All right. So let's dive into it. I was wondering if you could tell me a bit about yourself, where you're from and what brought you to the UAE.
So I'm originally from Lithuania. For those who don't know where Lithuania is, it's sort of Eastern Northern Europe. And then I moved to the UK, probably 16, 18 years ago. So most of my adulthood has been spent in the UK. My husband has had a business in Dubai since 2010. So we've been always sort of regulars, coming and going, spending a couple of months here, maybe going back to the UK and then coming back for 6 months and then back to the UK. And then 2 years ago, we made a decision as a family to move to Dubai. I'm sure you've heard many expats say that. We said, we'll move to Dubai for 2 years. That is it. So 2 years is up and we're still here. We've just moved into, a bigger house because I think we're settling in here. I started Drink Dry store. Children go to school and super happy. So yeah, I think the 2 year sort of window is gone and we're staying here for the foreseeable future.
Oh my goodness, I can so relate to that. I moved to Kuwait first when I was 23, and I said to my mom, 2 year contract, that's it, and then I'm coming back, and it's been 6 years.
I know, and I think it's most people who move here and sort of, start settling, and particularly coming from the UK, the weather. For me, the weather is the big factor. I just really love the weather in Dubai, minus the summer, which we tend to leave in the summer, but the rest of the year, I enjoy the relative sort of heat when it's here. And I love the sort of cooler months like now. I think it's just the best of both worlds, really.
And the sun's out every day, which is amazing.
I know.
All right, so tell me a bit about your relationship with alcohol.
So, as I said to you, I'm originally from Lithuania, and I think in generally, like the whole of sort of Eastern Europe has a big drinking culture. My parents had me and my sister when they were really young. I think they got married when they were 18, so they had us in the early 20s. And it was always kind of parties and all the friends around, and so I've always been surrounded by people drinking, and not necessarily to bad extent or any kind of, but it's always been part of my upbringing as a child, I suppose, and then the usual kind of experimenting at 10 or 12 or, sneaking a sip from there and there or something like that. And then unfortunately, I think later on in life, both parents struggled a little bit with their relationship with alcohol. So almost 20 years ago, they both just completely gave it up. So I've seen kind of both, I've seen what drinking life is and the kind of destruction it can cause in people's lives, but I've equally seen the beauty and the joy that stopping drinking can bring, you know. And as a child, I've experienced both sides, really. So then sort of fast forward when, you know, I sort of hit the teenage years and wanted to go out. I think in the West, particularly, you know, it's just so normal. It's part of any party at 16, 18, 20. It's part of our life. It's like, you know, you listen to music at a party, you drink alcohol. It's so integrated in our culture in general, you know. And, you know, I mean, I've been drunk many, many times in my life, and sometimes too much, and all sort of bad things happened. But it was never a real kind of issue for me that I thought I've hit the rock bottom or anything like that. It was just, I've never enjoyed the next day after drinking. It was always a waste of time, a waste of good time, wasted opportunities. I didn't speak to the person I wanted to speak to at a party or anything like that, you know. And then again, you sort of fast forward. I think I was, so 5 years ago, I was already married, I have an amazing husband, and we were trying to start a family, and it just wasn't happening. There were no medical issues or reasons why we couldn't. And then one of our consultants said, you know, maybe a lifestyle choice would be a good idea here. So, you know, give up that weekend smoking, give up the 2-3 glasses of wine in the evening. And again, I think, you know, my husband and I were probably prime examples of that kind of middle class, you know, wine drinkers in the week, where you come in from work, you open a bottle of wine, you start cooking, and before you know it, you've drunk a bottle of wine before you even had your dinner, you know. So for me, it was actually wanting to start a family and having children that led to making the decision of give up alcohol. And it was pretty easy because I knew what my end goal was. You know, I wanted to have a baby. Yeah, so that's what kind of, you know, that's what made me stop. And I have to say, I didn't realize the impact the presence of alcohol had in my life up until I gave it up. It just seemed so normal, you know. And then when I gave up alcohol, I think after the first month, I saw the biggest changes and results. And you know, and I'm sure you people will say this, and I'm sure you went through the same thing. Your skin is just amazing. You know, your sleep is just incredible. You actually go to bed, and the 8 or 10 hours that you're getting of sleep just become really fulfilling, and it's good quality sleep. And it's like you know, one thing leads to another. So you're sleeping much better, right? So therefore you wake up in the morning full of energy. You are full of energy, and you have to do something with that energy. So you start exercising, because you are exercising, and, you know, all of a sudden you feel much better. So you start eating better, and you start, it's just all round. For me, there's just no negatives whatsoever in giving up alcohol. And it's been, you know, a long time. It's been 5 years.
Yeah. You know, as you're talking, I describe this as, in my first 30 days, as it having a ripple effect through my life. Like the exact same thing happened to me as you're describing, of like, you know, you're sleeping better, you're working out, you're eating healthier. All of a sudden you're like looking back and being like, I don't recognize the person I was before.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And my husband, to start with, he sort of, I mean, we never drank to extent, but we always drank wine in the evenings, et cetera, et cetera. And then I think after the first couple of months, he sort of looked at me, he's like, I want whatever that is. You know, you're out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you're out walking and running. And he's like, what's going on? I want some of this, you know? And actually, so fast forward 5 years, so many of my friends have given up alcohol, at least have reduced it enormously.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's, you know, a sign of a few different things. I think sometimes when our friends see us give it up, they kind of observe that in us and might make the change themselves. And I also think there is this revolution happening, this sober revolution happening all around the world, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think for me, it's what helped me. So, and I think it took me about a year to actually fall pregnant, which it did happen. And, you know, but I think that the whole kind of sober revolution was coming out at the same time as I stopped drinking. So for me, it was pretty simple and easy to swap alcohol for really nice non-alcoholic options, because it happened at the right time for me. You know, I mean, we've all been there. Why are you not drinking? Why? All of this sort of questions. But because I had a choice of these non-alcoholic drinks back in the UK, that if I had people over for dinner or if we had a party, you know, I didn't have to explain anything to anyone. I had a glass with what looked like wine, or I had a bottle what looked like beer, or I had something that looked like gin and tonic, and you know, and if somebody tried it, it tasted like gin and tonic, but it was non-alcoholic, and nobody asked any questions, which I loved. I loved not having to explain myself and not having to explain why I decided to, you know, look after myself and give up this nasty habit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell me a bit about your experience with the drinking culture here in Dubai.
It's mad. It's insane, I think. So I said to you, you know, I think the first time I came to the UAE, it was probably 2012, maybe a bit earlier. And it really surprised me. You know, I had this kind of notion of a dry country, or you have to kind of be really conservative, etc., etc., etc. And the first evening we went out somewhere, you know, somewhere in Dubai Marina, the sights that I saw were actually quite scary. You know, so many drunk people. Just the kind of the acceptance of it was just there, that it's absolutely fine and okay to go out and get so drunk that you cannot walk back home. So I think the first time I came to the UAE, to UAE in general, was about 2012, possibly just a bit before that. And I'm not sure I was so surprised or thought anything of it then. You know, I was 20 something. It all seemed very normal, very exciting, big bright lights, lots and lots and lots of places to go out, fantastic places to go out, you know, fantastic views, everybody's super glamorous. It just seemed amazing. But as the years went on and we kept coming back to Dubai, and as I got older, I think, you know, looking back, I just think it was so, and it still is so encouraged here and so accepted, that it's perfectly normal to go out on a Tuesday night when everybody has work the next day and get so drunk that they cannot walk home. I don't think and bear in mind, I lived in the UK, you know, so again, there's a huge drinking culture there, but I think compared to Dubai, I don't think I've ever seen so many attractive young women not being able to walk home from a nightclub or a bar on a weeknight. I think it's just hugely somehow accepted here, which I don't think is the right thing.
Right. You know what it was for me that really got me? It was all of these ladies' nights deals where women could drink for free. And then I had this mindset of like, I have to drink as much as I can because it's free. And then it just becomes a habit where it was like, I was thinking back to my drinking days, and it was like once a week, I would do a ladies' night once a week. And that even, you know, throughout university, like we might have gone out for weeknights, but that's kind of different story because you're, you know, just turned legal and it's exciting to go out and party. But I don't think adults my age at home in Toronto were ever going out the way I was when I was here in the UAE.
I completely agree with you. And, you know, I think we were just talking earlier about this, but the whole Friday brunch idea, you know, the first time I went to Friday brunch, it got me. It completely got me, you know. I left and I thought, I don't think I've ever drunk this much. Like, you know, I had to sort of stop myself and think, my goodness, I need to just drink some water and get out of this kind of, you know, this phase. Because it's daytime. You're leaving a restaurant and it's the middle of the day, you know, 4 o'clock, and people are absolutely pouring out of everywhere. But I'm very hopeful that it's changing. It's changing here. You know, people are becoming more and more and more mindful of their drinking habits. their eating habits, their bodies, their health, and it's an all-encompassing thing for me. It's not just about the alcohol. I think it's people trying to be more mindful in general, whether that's exercise or meditation, and alcohol is a huge part of that they're trying to get rid of it or moderate it or replace it with something else. And I'm not one to say we should cut out alcohol altogether, because for some people it works. They can enjoy a couple of glass of wine and it absolutely works for them. But I think at least it's about moderation and cutting it right down. I don't think alcohol was ever intended to be used like a lot of Western cultures use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's been so fascinating for me to, as well, moving abroad, and then you become aware of how different cultures do it so differently, right? Like, I'm pretty active on TikTok, and the local people here in the UAE who come across my videos just find it fascinating because for them, they've had a totally different upbringing. Alcohol was not part of their home. And so for them to hear how it is for us, it's just, and vice versa. It's like educational for me to realize, this is really a core element of the West.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think it's very cultural. And, I think my experience having lived in Lithuania, UK, and then moving to Dubai, all three very sort of highly accepted cultures of drinking, really. But I said to you, I'm really hopeful that the change is coming. I think, at least I hope, right?
So you told me a bit earlier about your experience in the UK with having alcohol-free options available, and then we kind of talked about the contrast, which is the French scene in Dubai. I'm wondering, what was it that inspired you to create the Drink Try store?
I think like with most of these things, it always comes from personal experience. And I was just incredibly unhappy here and unsatisfied as a consumer when I moved to the UAE. So when I first gave up alcohol, because I wanted to have children 5 years ago in the UK, the brands such as Seedlip were coming out, some really fantastic non-alcoholic beers and sparkling wines. It was already emerging. And if you just searched for it, you could definitely find it, And I felt like the biggest challenge when I first gave up alcohol was explaining to people why I'm not drinking. And it got so boring after a while, especially something like, wanting to start a family and it not happening for you. It's quite personal, right? So you don't necessarily want to be telling your neighbor who you've met 5 minutes ago why you don't drink at this get together or something like that. And I just, I was lying all the time. I was on antibiotics for the first year of people knowing me probably. They all thought I'm on antibiotics because that was the easiest kind of thing to say, right? But then I found that if I had a drink in my hand that looked like alcohol to everybody else, people were not asking me questions, and equally at the same time, I was so fed up with orange juice and water. Every single occasion, water, orange juice, or sugary mocktails. Well, I'm not 10 years old to be enjoying a soft sugary drink. It doesn't attract, it doesn't work for me. So I really found that having good non-alcoholic drinks for adults in my house or wherever I went and I brought it with me, it really helped. I didn't stand out, and it was just easy. It was super, super easy. And actually the taste and quality of the products just got better and better and better and better, And then when I moved to the UAE 2 years ago, well, it was like traveling back in time. Going to supermarket. I have to admit, in 2 years that I've lived here, I've never been into a liquor store here because I don't have a need to go, right? So maybe I should have gone there to check if they had some non-alcoholic drinks, but I know that they didn't. So going to supermarkets or going to restaurants, there was just nothing for non-drinking adult to drink. Nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing, And if you ask for non-alcoholic beer, they'd say we have ginger beer or something else, And that's what really inspired me, because I thought I can't be the only person, because I know my parents struggled with alcohol, sort of half their life. So
I thought, surely there are people who don't drink because they choose to completely abstain from it. Surely there are a load of pregnant ladies here. Surely there are a lot of people who are driving. Surely there are a lot of people who don't drink during the week. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Why would people not drink, right? And that really sort of kept, I kept moaning and moaning and moaning. And I think my husband just said to me one day, well, do something about it then, stop complaining and do something about it, and then the rest is history. I think it was about just over a year ago that I seriously started looking into it and contacting the brands and really trying to find the right products to bring into Drink Dry store. And what I actually initially, because the compliance here is so much stricter than it is in Europe. So the sort of no and low category in the UK, Europe, America, even Canada, would allow drinks up to 0.5 to be classed as non-alcoholic. Here, it's actually 0.05. So all of the products that you'll see on Drink Dry store or if you go to a restaurant and it's one of our products, it's a genuine 0.0 alcohol. There's no alcohol whatsoever. And that, I really got a kick out of that. I thought that is, at first it was, wow, well, what else is available then? If we have to go to 0.0. But then after, when I've done my research, I got a real kick out of it, that there are some incredible products out there in the world, incredible beers, and you've tried our products, right? Yeah. They are genuine 0.0 whatsoever, Yeah, and that just really encouraged me. And I thought, and I could see that, people, when I spoke to people, everybody was kind of really excited about the idea of something that wasn't alcoholic coming into the market. Yeah, so that's how it all came about, really.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mention the whole thing about not, coming here to the UAE and not having the products that you once had, because I had kind of an opposite experience in that when I got sober, I was here in Abu Dhabi. And so I was just drinking water and Coke all the time. And I remember I was 100 days sober and I went back to Canada for my summer vacation, and all these restaurants had alcohol-free beer. And I was like, wait, this is a normal thing. Because of course I would have no idea before when I was a drinker. But I remember just being like, this is amazing. All these places in Canada have alcohol-free beer. And then coming back here and again, being hit with there's nothing. And that was when I really realized that it was an issue. And so for a long time, I was just well, this just is the way it is. And I remember when I first heard about you guys opening up, and it was the most exciting thing. And it just feels exactly what you're talking about of I just feel I'm able to have kind of an adult drink and a fancy drink and feel like a grown-up.
Exactly. And I think there's so much more to it, It's the whole social aspect of it. And, for me, the first thing is the product has to taste good. It cannot be a grape juice in a champagne bottle, or it cannot be watered down malt drink that's made from some kind of wheat leftovers that, it cannot be that. It has to be something that tastes super, super exciting for non-drinking adults. And that's what I always emphasize, it's for non-drinking adults who choose different way of life. And for me, the biggest compliment I get as a founder of Drink Dry Store is our customers, especially if I see that somebody ordered one bottle, and I know that they're skeptical. I know that the person who ordered one bottle is skeptical of the quality of the product. But then in 2 days' time, they placed another order and they're buying cases of it. And for me, that is the biggest compliment, because I think, yes, we've got it right. We've got it absolutely right with all of our products that are coming in, that people are actually enjoying it, and I'm no wine connoisseur or, a huge kind of beer knower what good beer is. But my only criteria when I choose what goes onto Drink Dry Store is, would I, as a consumer, buy this the second time? That's it. That's the only criteria, Is it good enough to be bought the second time? And if the answer is yes, then we'll list it on Drink Dry Store, And I think that people really get that. At least the feedback we're getting is really kind of resembling that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The beer Des Amis, which was the first beer that I tried from you guys, I could not get over how it was probably the best non-alcoholic beer that I've ever had. It just tastes so authentic. Yeah. So.
And again, it's 0.0% alcohol. So there's no risk for pregnant ladies drinking it or people who have a problem with, using alcohol in the past. There's just no kind of issues with that whatsoever. And, and we're trying really hard, because I think the demand has been a lot higher than we anticipated, and the feedback has been fantastic. So I think this week we have our still non-alcoholic wines arriving. So the whole range of, red, white, and rosé wine, which I think adds another depth to the whole kind of sophisticated drinking when you're not drinking, that you want to have a glass of red wine with your meal at home on Valentine's Day or whatever it may be, So yeah, thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, I love it. So what is your vision for the Drink Dry store in the UAE in the future?
Do you know what I would love to do? I would love to get to the point in the UAE where if you are a non-drinking adult, for whatever reason, and I no longer ask people reason because it's their personal choice, that if you go to a supermarket, that you can pick up whatever is your favorite non-alcoholic drink. If you were maybe a wine drinker when you were drinking, that you can pick up a good bottle of non-alcoholic wine. If you're a beer drinker, you've got a choice of fantastic non-alcoholic wines, right? So whatever was your choice of drink when you were drinking, that you have an amazing alternative for that drink in the non-alcoholic section. And that it just becomes widely available, that instead of asking, do you have non-alcoholic beer when you go to a restaurant as a consumer, you can ask, what non-alcoholic beer do you have? Do you have beer des amis? Do you have English ale? Do you have Syrah wine? That you actually get a choice as a consumer, that you're no longer offered a ginger beer when you ask for non-alcoholic beer, and that it just becomes a widely acceptable thing. That for me is the biggest thing that I want to achieve, that people get a choice to drink what they want to drink, and nobody asks them why they're not drinking, because they're sitting there with an orange juice.
Absolutely.
Sounds good, right?
Yes. And I think that is definitely the next phase of I'm still finding that a lot of restaurants don't have non-alcoholic beer even on the menu. And that is kind of my dream too, is that I get to a brunch and there's a non-alcoholic beer for me to have. That would just be amazing.
We're working super hard. We've recently partnered up with SWR Hospitality Group here in Dubai. We have some incredible outlets, and they've taken the whole range from us, and and they've listed it on their menu. It's kind of very clearly that it's non-alcoholic premium drinks, and I know that feedback we've already had from them has been amazing. The products are selling so well for them, and I think even the management are a little bit surprised. They sort of didn't expect it to be such a hit, really. We're going into one of the retail chains with all our products, so that would be another kind of step towards making it more acceptable and available for people to have. So I'm hoping that within the next, let's say within the next 2 to 3 years, it will be so normal to have anywhere that you go.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. So if you had any advice for someone that was sober curious or thinking about taking a break from alcohol, what would it be?
Just give it a go. Just try. I mean, there's literally not one negative that I can think of. And I'm brutally honest. There's not one negative in giving up alcohol. There's not one. And we could go on and on and on for another hour talking about the benefits of going alcohol free, right? But I think it's, unless you try it, you just don't know, It's a bit like when, I don't know, unless you experience childbirth and having your own child, you don't really know what that means. Like many, many experiences in life, unless you experience it firsthand, you don't know what it means. So, if you are sober curious, just give it a go. Even say, I'm not going to drink Monday to Friday or Sunday to Thursday, or maybe I won't drink this weekend and I'll make other alternative plans. I'll make plans to go out with my friends for a walk on the beach on a Friday at 6:00 in the morning. So I definitely don't go out drinking on Thursday, Yeah, just try. That's the only thing. And if you're a bit scared of what life would look like, you know, a year with no alcohol or 2 years no alcohol, don't think about it. Just say, well, I won't drink this week. And then if another week leads to another week, then fantastic. If another day leads to another day, fantastic. And if you know, if you want to moderate, then if you have a drink on a Friday night, so be it. But it doesn't mean you have to drink again on Saturday. You just, you know, say no again. And particularly if you have any social occasions coming up, you know, and obviously I'm biased because I found, you know, I started to drink dry store, but stock up on good non-alcoholic drinks that really will help you get through any social occasion. If you haven't got experience of going out or socializing with people without drinking alcohol, that's a really good plan B. You know, stock up on non-alcoholic beer if you've got friends coming over, and just drink that and see how you get on. That nobody's asking questions. You just, you know, you don't feel any other pressure than coming from yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just give it a go. That's great advice.
Give it a go. Can you think of any negatives to going alcohol free, Alex?
You know, I was thinking about this the other day. I read this thing on Instagram. Someone said, I've never met someone who regrets going alcohol free. And that's so true. Like going alcohol free, like I was terrified of it because as you say, you don't know what it's going to be like. If your whole adult life has a drink in your hand, then you don't know what it's going to be like. And, you know, I saved money, I saved time, started my business. I, you know, had energy for my passions. Like I'm at the point now where I just don't want to drink because I'm like, this is just it's only going to be negatives for me, but I would have never known any of that had I not sort of taken the risk and tried it. So exactly. And it just takes a small little step to try. And I think, you know, not even I think with Dry January, it's a fantastic month for people to do. But for those who, and I did another interview earlier in January for a magazine in London. And I said, you know, for those who haven't tried Dry January, if you are sort of worried about what 30 days of no alcohol looks like, just do 4, just do 3 days, 5 days, whatever it is in January that you feel like you want to do, and reevaluate again after those 5 days. How do you feel? Do you feel better? Well, do you want to try another 5 days? And you might just surprise yourself that you go the full month. And if you slip up somewhere along the way, so be it. You just restart again, you know? It's just as simple as trying it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question for you. What is your personal favorite drink at the drink dry store?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to ask me that. My goodness. You know, I think the one that I drink the most, actually, it's Vincennes Prestige, the sparkling wine. So yesterday I had a friend over who I've known for a long, long time. We lived together in Lithuania, UK. We're both now in Dubai. And, you know, she came over in the evening and we drank a whole bottle of Vincennes Prestige, and she drove home and I went to bed, which was fantastic. But that's my kind of go-to, that's my go-to drink always when I've got people over. But actually, I think the one that my personal very favorite it's our red wine that's coming in stock very, very soon. You know, because I know it's already landed in Dubai yesterday, so I know it's here, so I can tell about it. But it's a beautiful, you know, rich Syrah and Grenache mix. It just tastes beautiful. There's complexity in the drink, there's sophistication in the drink. You pick up lots of different fruits and flavors, and it's just so easy on the palate. And particularly, you know, my husband and I, we both work and we have 2 small kids. So evenings are really precious to us when the children go to bed, and we sit down and we catch up with each other on our day. So, you know, our evening meal is a big part of our kind of time spent together. So we always sit down at a dinner table and we eat together and we just catch up on our day. We don't sort of eat on our laps watching TV, you know. And I'm really looking forward to being able to have a glass of wine with my meal and just make it even a more of an experience. Yeah, so I think a red wine is my absolute favorite.
Oh, good. Well, I'm super excited to try it because I have to admit, I actually had never found an alcohol-free wine that I enjoyed. My mom stocked up with a bunch in Canada the first summer I was home, and we both kind of decided, you know, there isn't really anything good out there. So when you sent me the Prestige, I was skeptical, but I was like, I'm going to try it. And I love it now. And so I know that I can trust your taste. So if you say that the red is good, then I know I can trust it.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's really, really good. And it's, I get sent samples all the time, people wanting to list with us. And, and it's great. I'm always very open, but I'm also very skeptical like you are, and I always kind of close my eyes and I think, I'm just a consumer, because I want to have so many products on Drink by Store. I want to just shout about it, but I have to be very skeptical about it and kind of, just think, is it good enough that somebody ordering it will think, wow, so yeah, I hope once the wines hit Drink Dry Store, the feedback will be as good as I hope it will.
Oh, I'm sure it will be. Well, thank you so much, Erika. It was such a delight to have you on the show. I am going to put into the link to the episode, the link to the Drink Dry Store for anyone who's listened to this and is interested in checking out the products locally in UAE.
Thank you.
And I have a code right now for 10% off. It's capital ALEX 10, and I'll put that in the episode as well. So if any listeners would like to place an order, you can get 10% off, which is so great.
Thank you very much for the support, because, for us, we were a small kind of business, it was all about the idea, and it's amazing to have people who live the alcohol-free life really support us. So really, thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It was really nice chatting to you. And I think, if it wasn't evening time, I'd sit here and chat with you for another hour.
Yes. Well, we'll have a get together when the borders are open soon, and I can visit Dubai, and then we can try that red wine.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you so much, Erika, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.